Okay. So in the last class, we had actually learned about what did we learn? Mhm. The electromagnetic spectrum. So today we are going to see first about the drawbacks of Rutherford model. The drawbacks of Rutherford. The first drawback will be Rutherford model could not explain the stability of an atom. How did it do so? Rutherford's model could not explain the stability of an atom. Why is it so? Now see, what did Rutherford say is that in the center, this is the nucleus, and the electron is revolving around the nucleus. Okay, this was Rutherford's model. But according to the laws of physics, the thing is that whenever a charged object, that is in this case electron, is revolving around another charged object, it will continuously lose energy. It will continuously lose energy. Thus, what we will see is if Rutherford's theory was true, completely true, then actually, like this way, the electron would have continuously emitted out energy. And since it is emitting out energy, the radius of this will go on decreasing. So the radius of the electrons will go on decreasing and it will actually spiral down like this. And a point will come that where it will actually collide with the nucleus, thus destroying the atom. That's it. So according to the laws of physics, that whenever a charged object is moving around another charged object, it is continuously losing out energy. So that means over here, energy is being lost. And we will see is that the electron is actually spiraling down and colliding with the nucleus. So if we write it, what will we write? That whenever a charged particle revolves around another charged particle, it should continuously lose out energy. This is what physics says, the laws of physics. It should continuously lose energy. It should continuously lose energy. Thus, the electron should gradually spiral down and collide with the nucleus. Thus destroying the atom. So is this point clear to you, Abhay?
Yes, sir.
So then let's see the next point. The next point, the next defect is going to be that it does not mention anything about how the electrons are arranged around the nucleus. So what does Rutherford say is this is the nucleus and this is how electrons are revolving around the nucleus. But it does not say whether this is how it revolves or it revolves by this distance or does it revolve by here or does it revolve by this large distance. So it doesn't mention anything about the orbit, about the radius of this orbit. How far is this electron going to be from the nucleus? There is no such mention of that point. So that's the second drawback, that it does not mention anything. It does not mention anything about how the electrons about how the electrons are arranged around the nucleus. So it does not mention anything about how the electrons are arranged around the nucleus. So it speaks nothing about this radius, whether it is going close to the electron. If it is close, then how close? What is the numerical value, mathematical value? So it doesn't give us any data about that. So these are the two main drawbacks of Rutherford's theory. Okay, so is that both the drawbacks clear to you? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So then let's move on to the next topic. Now, see, the next topic that we will do is about the Planck's quantum theory. That is the particle nature of radiation. So till now, we had learned that actually light are wave. Light is a wave. But now we are going to see that no, light is basically a particle. Light can behave as a particle. So this is what we are going to see in these points. Particle nature of radiation. That is under here we are going to study Planck's quantum theory. We are going to see about the Planck's quantum theory. So let's see. But before seeing this Planck's quantum theory, we actually need to learn about two more experiments to say how this actually Planck's quantum theory is coming, how the Planck's quantum theory is originating. Those two experiments is going to be the black body radiation and the photoelectric effect. So these are two experiments where our normal laws of physics, that is the classical physics, where basically light was considered to be a wave, that fails. And that is why this Planck's quantum theory came into existence. So these two theories that we will do now, that is the black body radiation and the photoelectric effect, is basically the reason why this Planck's quantum theory came. Because in this two thing experiment, we will see that the classical physics is failing to explain. It's the black body radiation. Black body radiation. So let me write down the entire theory, then I will explain. So what is a black body? So the first question is okay, black body radiation, that is okay. But what is a black body? So now let's see first what exactly a black body is. Do you know what a black body is?
No, sir.
So black body is something which is emitting as well as absorbing all the frequencies that is put on. So the ideal body, which absorbs or emits all frequencies, is called a black body. So whatever is being incident on the body, it is absorbing all the types of light. This is called black body. Okay. And the radiation emitted by such a body by such a body is called black body radiation. So yeah, that's so a body which absorbs all the frequency of light that is incident on it, that is called a black body. Nothing is reflected out. And the radiation that is emitted by such a body, that is only called a black body radiation. So if you have seen a blacksmith working, if you have seen a blacksmith working in your locality, you will see that he is hitting an iron rod. Fine. So if you put an iron rod in a furnace, iron rod in furnace, what will you see? You will see that the color is actually changing when it is being heated. Initially, it is dull red in color. But as you go on hitting the black body, you will see that the color is changing from dull red to bright red, bright red. If you still go on hitting it, it is becoming then yellow. Then it is becoming white in color. On further heating, that means on a further higher temperature, it is becoming blue. So the question is why? Why is it happening, sir? Why is this color change happening? This could not be explained by the laws of our classical physics. According to the laws of classical physics, the color would have remained same all throughout. There would have been no change in this color. But yet, we are seeing the color is changing as we are heating this object to a higher temperature. So why is it so? So this could not be explained by our classical physics. And also, scientists did a work and plotted a graph of hitting a black body. So what did they observe? They observed that when a black body is heated, the graph that we are getting is of this nature. Let me draw the graph. So the graph will look like this. Well, you are doing the class too.
Yes, sir.
So on this side, we have intensity, the intensity of radiation. And on this side, we have the lambda, that is the wavelength. This side, we have the lambda. Okay, so this is the graph. Let's level out the graph, then we will explain it. So when experiments were done over a range of temperature with a black body, this is how the curve of the experimental observation that we got to see. So what is the observation from here? From the graph, what can you conclude? So the observation will be, observation, this is going to be, you see that at a given temperature, at a given temperature, at a given temperature, intensity of radiation, intensity of radiation, intensity of radiation increases with wavelength, increases with wavelength. It reaches a maxima, it reaches a maximum and then decreases, and then decreases. So what is it? So over here, see the graph that we are seeing that this is the wavelength. The x-axis is the wavelength axis, and this is the intensity axis. So look into the first graph, this graph. So you see that as the wavelength is increasing, intensity value is also increasing. So as the value of wavelength is increasing, the value of intensity is also slowly going on increasing. It is increasing and it is reaching a highest point. See, it is reaching a maximum point. After that, it is again going to decrease. Right? So this is how the graph will look like, and it's looking like this only, that at a given temperature, for a particular temperature, the intensity is increasing with wavelength. So as the wavelength is increasing, the intensity is also increasing. The value of intensity also increases. It is reaching to a maximum point, and then it is again decreasing. So this is how the graph is going to look. Is it clear? The number one observation, is it clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so then let's see the second observation. Not observe this, basically this is a conclusion that we are drawing from the graph. So the second thing that we can write is that with increasing temperature, with increase in temperature, intensity at lambda max intensity at lambda max increases and it shifts towards the lower wave. So now let's try to understand this observation. So you see that this graph is at a temperature of T1. This graph is at a temperature of T1, and this graph is at a temperature of T2. And in the experiment, we have kept that the temperature, the value of T2, that is T2, the temperature is greater than the T1 temperature. Okay. So what we see is that you see that the intensity at the lambda max, this intensity, the value of this is going to increase. So for a temperature of T1, this is the intensity. This is the value of intensity for temperature T1. Whereas at a higher temperature of T2, that means at this particular point, you see that the value of intensity has increased. That only says that it increase in temperature, intensity at lambda max increases. Okay. And also we are seeing another thing, that the lambda max is numerically shifting to a lower wavelength. So the lambda max is shifting towards the lower wavelength. At this temperature, the wavelength was lambda max, for example, suppose 50. But when we are doing it at the temperature of T2, this lambda max is shifting towards the lower point. So for example, let's take it as 40. This is the value of lambda max in the x-axis. So that's the second conclusion, that with increase in temperature, intensity at lambda max increases and it is shifting towards a lower wavelength. Is it clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So these are the two observations that we black body radiation. And this could not be explained using the laws of physics, using the laws of classical physics. Classical physics মানে যে all the laws of physics, the Newtonian law of physics, the Newton's law, that is known as the classical physics. So it could not be explained using all those Newton's law and all those things. So that means they are failing. So now what to do then? So then we'll come to the Planck's quantum theory. But before that, let's write what was expected out from classical physics. Because according to classical physics, it was expected that the intensity would have always increased. The intensity would have always increased. So if classical physics was holding true, then this is what the graph was going to look. This part is a bit boring, and once we complete this thing, then again it will become interesting. So this is a graph from classical physics. That means we are seeing that the intensity is always increasing. This is from classical physics. That means the Newtonian physics. Okay, so this is one part where the black body radiation shows that our classical physics is failing. So that means something else is happening. Now let's see another experiment where this classical physics also fails, and that is the photoelectric effect. So now we are going to see about photoelectric effect. Do you know the scientist who gave this photoelectric effect?
It's a Newton.
No, it's not Newton. This is given by Einstein. Given by Einstein, and this is basically the Nobel Prize winning work for Einstein. Einstein got his Nobel Prize for his work on photoelectric effect, a Nobel Prize in physics. This is the Nobel Prize winning work of Einstein. In the year 1905, he did this work. Okay, so let's see this. This is there in physics also, in class 12 modern physics. This chapter is basically much of physics and less of chemistry. Chemistry hasn't started. Once we complete this chapter, then we'll be getting into main chemistry. So what is this photoelectric effect? Let's see. So we'll first write down the definitions and the new terms. So photoelectric effect is the ejection of electron from the surface of metal ejection of electron from the surface of metal by radiation of suitable frequency. By radiation of suitable frequency is called photoelectric effect. It is called the photoelectric effect. And the ejected electron is called photoelectrons. So ejection of electron from the surface of metal by radiation of suitable frequency is called the photoelectric effect. And the and the ejected electron is called the photoelectric effect. And the ejected electrons is called the photoelectron. So now let's try to understand what this is. Suppose this is a metal surface. Suppose this is a metal. So what you do is, to this metal, you are actually applying light. So you are giving light to this metal. Light of suitable frequency, radiation of suitable frequency. That means light of suitable frequency. You are giving, suppose this is a light that is coming. The light is striking the metal surface. The light is striking the metal surface. And what will happen is, due to this, the outermost electron of the metal will get ejected out. So due to this, the outermost electron of metal is getting ejected out. So due to this, the outermost electron of the metal is getting ejected out. So then what is this? This is only our photoelectric effect. And this electron is called the photoelectron. This ejected electron is only known as the photoelectron. And this phenomenon is called the photoelectric effect. So that's it. That whenever we are giving a radiation of suitable frequency on the metallic surface, what we are seeing is that the outermost electron is getting ejected out. That is leaving out. Okay. And this ejected electron is only known as our photoelectrons. So now, if you see the definition, it says a radiation of suitable frequency. That means you cannot just give any light in order to observe this phenomenon. So it must be of a suitable frequency. So what is the name of the suitable frequency? That is called the threshold frequency. So let's write down the definition of threshold frequency. So the minimum energy required, the minimum frequency, not energy, sorry, minimum frequency minimum frequency required Okay. So the minimum frequency of the incident radiation. So the definition only says a radiation of suitable frequency. So what is that suitable frequency? It is that it has to have a minimum amount of frequency must be present. So the minimum frequency of this incident radiation by which our photoelectric effect is going to take place, that is called the threshold frequency. So it's not like that I can give any amount of light, any light I give, and photoelectric effect will take. It is certainly not like that. That particular light has to have a minimum frequency in it, and that is only known as the threshold frequency. Okay, which is denoted by nu naught. So this symbol is called nu. I think we have done it also before. Did you do it this symbol before? No, it didn't. So this is new. This symbol is called nu. Nu. So this is nu naught, and this is the threshold frequency. It is represented by the symbol of nu naught. Okay, nu is the symbol of frequency. And when we write nu naught, then we are getting threshold frequency. Oh, we have already done nu in the last class only when we discussed about those waves.
Yes, sir.
There we had actually learned the symbol nu. So we got to know about the threshold frequency. Then what is the work function? That is basically the minimum energy required for photoelectric effect. So one is minimum frequency and another one is the minimum energy. The minimum energy required for photoelectric effect. That is known as the work function. Work function. This is called the work function, which is denoted by W. Work function is denoted by W. And what is the formula for work function? That is W is equal to H nu naught. That is equal to H C by lambda. This is the formula for calculating the work function. W is equal to H nu naught, which is equal to Hc by lambda. We will do this, how the formula came once we do the Planck's quantum theory. Then you will understand why this formula came. For now, we are just writing down the formula. But now the situation is, what did Einstein observe is, what if someone gives more frequency than the threshold frequency? Since the minimum frequency, it has to be J. But what if someone gives a frequency greater than the threshold frequency? So then what will happen? He saw that the excess energy, that is the frequency only, that is actually converted to kinetic energy. If someone is giving you excess amount of frequency, that is the excess amount of energy, then that value of excess energy is going to get converted to the kinetic energy of ejected electron. So excess energy is converted into the kinetic energy, Ke of ejected electron. That means the minimum energy to is required. But anything that is given above that minimum value, the excess amount is actually converted into the kinetic energy of the electron which is removed, of the ejected electron. So now let's draw the graph that Einstein got by doing his experiments, and then we will write the observation just like we did in the previous one. So even over Andamans, you have like a 2 months of summer vacation.
Yes, sir.
So that's long summer vacation.
So what I have noticed.
I'm saying that's a very long summer vacation.
Yes, sir.
The school is going to start in July then.
Yes, sir.
So will it be like offline classes or online? Or that hasn't been told yet?
Sir, I will be in online classes because in now Diglipur the corona cases are more. That's why means their lockdown is going on. That's why. No.
Andaman also is in lockdown?
Yes, sir. Sir, it is not fully locked down from morning 6 o'clock to 1 o'clock. It will be open, and after that, it will be locked down.
Okay, so partial kind of thing. So how are the cases over there? Is it like bad or under control?
Sir, it is in control means in Port Blair it is more. In Digipur I think 10 to 5, 5 to 10. But in Port Blair minimum 100 cases are there.
Okay, so in your Diglipur it is like 5 to 10, but in Port Blair it is happening much.
Yes,
Oh, but yes, but over there so the facilities is also quite less. So I
yes,
think
sir.
they need to take precautions so that it doesn't spread. How is Diglipur? Is it like a sparsely populated region or is it like a dense region?
Sir, it is. Uh, Sir, it is not densely also. It is medium, sir.
Medium. So you have like everything, like
Yeah,
markets are there, but most of the things are there only.
yes, sir.
Don't have to go to Port Blair for anything as such.
No, sir.
And the only connection between the Port Blair and this Diglipur is like through that island. Na? From by crossing the river, you need to take the bus or something like that.
Sir, no, sir. We can go by bus also. We
The
need,
total,
uh, we need 8 hours to go from Diglipur to Port Blair.
yes, there is a river na in between.
So what?
There is a river, na, kind of river in between. So,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. By means ocean also we can go.
but then you have to like take the ship.
Yes,
Otherwise, you can go by bus, and the bus actually goes up on the boat only. It's like a big, I
yes,
think,
yes, yes, sir.
near that island, no? That tribal island, Baratang Island.
Yes, yes,
So that's the route, no?
yes.
I've been to that region, but I was like very small, so actually I forgot it. I went back long ago in 2010. It's mainly tourism over there, the main source of income for most of the people, or is it some others also?
Sir, it's a their source of income. Most of the people are farmers only, sir.
Okay, it's farming is only.
Yes.
Okay. So when Einstein did this graph, when he did the experiment, what he observed is, you see, like this, if we plot this one, excess energy is converted into the converted into the kinetic energy. So that's why we are saying that at a minimum frequency it will take place, the radiation will take place, the photoelectric effect will take place at a minimum frequency. And after that, the excess amount of frequency is converted into the kinetic energy. So this is the threshold frequency. See, before this value of frequency, no radiation has taken place. No photoelectric effect has taken place before this particular frequency. This is our threshold frequency. Okay. And it was also observed that whether we increase the intensity of light or decrease the intensity of light, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether we increase or decrease the intensity of light, because the kinetic energy was found to be independent of the intensity. So that's why it's a straight line. So as you are increasing the intensity, you see that the value of kinetic energy is remaining same. That means what? That means the kinetic energy is independent of the intensity of light. It doesn't depend on this intensity of light. So this is one observation from the graph. So this is suppose your graph number 2. And the graph number 1, what did you see is that as we are going on increasing the frequency, as the frequency is increasing, the kinetic energy is going on increasing. But obviously, after a certain amount of frequency. and this is the threshold frequency. Before that frequency, kinetic energy will not be there. That means photoelectric effect is not taking. So the conclusion that can be drawn from the graph is conclusion. Conclusion will be number one, kinetic energy of ejected photoelectron, kinetic energy of ejected photoelectron of ejected photoelectron is directly proportional is directly proportional is directly proportional to the frequency of incident light. As the frequency increases, kinetic energy will increase. That is only what you are seeing from the graph also, is directly proportional to the frequency of incident light. And the another point that we got is the second graph. From the second graph, we can say that the kinetic energy of ejected photoelectrons is independent of the intensity of incident light. Is independent of incident light. So the kinetic energy of ejected photoelectron is independent of the intensity of incident light. So these are the two conclusions. One is that it is directly proportional to the frequency, directly proportional to the frequency of incident light. And secondly, it is independent of the intensity of incident light. So these are the two conclusions that we can draw from the graph. And neither of the conclusion could actually be explained by our law of classical physics, because classical physics, that means Newtonian physics, actually says that the more we increase the intensity, kinetic energy should increase. But basically, we are seeing it is independent. There is no dependency between the intensity and the kinetic energy. So this also could not be explained with with the help of classical physics. That's why, so these two experiments actually told that something though is happening, something exceptional is happening over here. So that's why the Planck's quantum theory came into existence to explain the anomaly in the observation. So the Planck's quantum theory of electromagnetic radiation. So the Planck's quantum theory of electromagnetic radiation. So let's see that. The Planck's quantum theory of electromagnetic radiation. So what did Planck say? So let us see the points said by Planck. He said that energy is absorbed or emitted energy is absorbed or emitted in the form in the form of small packets. Okay, I missed one thing. Discontinuous in the form of small packets called quantum. Then number two, for light, this quantum of energy is photon. Quantum of energy is photon. Then number three, energy of photon is directly proportional to the frequency of radiation. The frequency of radiation. That means E, energy, directly proportional to nu. Frequency is nu. So from here we can write E is equal to h nu. H nu. So this is a very, very important formula. E is equal to h nu. And what is this h over here? This h is actually called Planck's constant. What is the value? This you need to remember. 6.6 into 10 to the power of minus 34. 6.6 into 10 to the power of minus 34 joule second. You need to remember this one. 6.6 into 10 to the power of minus 34 joule second. And the number 4 is a body can absorb or emit. A body a body can absorb or emit one photon, one photon, or whole number multiple of it, or whole number multiple of it. That is E is equal to n into h nu, where n is equal to 1, 2, 3, like this way it can go. Okay, so this is the Planck's quantum theory. He says that energy is actually absorbed or emitted discontinuously in the form of small packets called quantum. So now let's try to understand. Suppose, what does this classical physics say if we compare this situation? Think this is a very, very big drum of water. Okay, this is a drum of water. This is water. So what you do is, you suppose think that you have overturned this drum of water. So what will happen? What will you see if you overturn the drum of water like this? If you tilt it, you will see that the water is actually flowing out of this drum. If you overturn the drum, water will start flowing out of the drum. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So if you overturn this drum, water will start flowing out of the drum in a continuous manner. This is what classical physics says. So this is one way of emptying the drum, that you tilt the drum and water will start flowing out of the drum in a continuous manner. This is your classical physics. But this Planck's quantum theory says that no, this is not how the drum is getting empty. He says this is the same drum of water, but we do not tilt it. Think of this situation, that you have been given with a mug. Okay. So what you do is that you take the mug, you put it in water, and then you throw that water, one mug of water. Again, you put the mug, you fill it with water, and then you throw it out. Again, you put the mug, fill it with water, and then you throw it out. So you see, initially in classical physics, which was basically a continuous flow of water, which was happening due to tilting the drum, now we are getting a discontinuous flow of water because you are putting the mug in water, filling it, and then throwing it. Again, you are putting a mug, filling it, and then throwing it. So it is becoming a discontinuous flow. So quantum theory also says this only, that energy is also not flowing out continuously. Rather, it is a discontinuous flow. And if you see, every time the amount of water that you are throwing, that is constant, that is one mug of water. So every time, so this one mug of water is becoming the unit. This is the smallest unit of water that you can throw. So this is the smallest unit. So this is only in terms of energy is called quantum. That is the small packets, which is called quantum. Okay. So this is what the Planck's quantum theory actually gives us an idea of. It says that no, energy is not coming out continuously as such. Rather, it is coming out in a discontinuous manner, and it is being coming out in a small unit, which is known as quantum. And how is it, does it relate with the frequency? He says that this particular energy is directly proportional to the frequency of light. So this is also a very important point, that this frequency energy is directly proportional to the frequency of radiation. E directly proportional to nu. Therefore, E is equal to h nu. And this h is thus called the Planck's constant, which has a value of 6.626 into 10 to the power of minus 34 joules again. Is it clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that's all for today. I will stop here today. And in the next class, we will again revise this Planck's quantum theory, and then we'll move on to the atomic structure. And then slowly in the upcoming classes, we will see the Bohr theory and the other stuffs. Okay. So then that's it. So then I'm stopping the share and disconnecting the call.
Sir,
Say,
Monday class will be there, sir, or it will be in Tuesday?
uh, can you repeat once again?
Sir, Monday class will be there.
No, not Monday. Your class, I will take your class on Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday,
Friday.
and Sunday.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.